Good morning. We're ready to go. We're going to have the morning roll call. So I know you have maybe some different seating assignments. So hope everyone's found their seats this morning. All members come to the floor, please. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify your presence in the chamber. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members. All members voted. If so, Demetrius, you in yet? Now you will be. I was waiting on Representative Douglas, and he's here, so we can get started. All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom today, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. We have a special chaplain today, but I'll let our member tell you about that how special he is to her and his family. But our chaplain today will be introduced by a representative from over in Columbus, from the 139th House District, Representative Carmen Rice. Representative Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, all. This is a day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm so honored to be here with you today and the privilege of introducing you to my pastor. And my pastor, he graduated from University of Alabama with his bachelor's. He went to Emory for his master's, and he recently got his doctorate at Duke University. And it is my honor and privilege to introduce him as my pastor because he's also my brother. And so, and the irony of having my younger brother as the pastor of my church, so he preaches to me every week, which I'm sure gives him some distinct pleasure. But anyway, I'm honored to have him here today. It's been a journey as his older sister, watching God bring him to this point of sharing, and he has such a good heart and care for people and such a discerning spirit. And I'm honored to have him here today. And I'm also honored to have my mom, Donna Aiken, is here. Yeah. So I'm very blessed with the family. I have 3 siblings, and we're all very close, and I'm very thankful for that and don't take that for granted. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my brother, Jerry Aiken.
Thank you, Representative Rice. I'll call you that here. Good morning, servant leaders. I love that term, servant leaders, because any of us who are blessed with the privilege and the responsibility to lead must always be ready to temper that power with a willingness to serve. As a pastor, one of my favorite things is to be able to share with people that Jesus said that first. We have idioms and phrases and proverbs that are so ingrained in our culture and in our vernacular that we often say these things in passing and we don't always realize where they come from. So I love it when someone says something in passing and I get to say, hey, did you know Jesus said that first? There's many examples of this. Treat others as you would have them treat yourself. That's a good one. I heard that one in elementary school growing up. But guess what? Jesus said it first. Judge not lest you be judged. That's another one. Guess what? Jesus said it first. And I could be here all day with this, and I'm sure you don't want that, but a lot of these sayings, go the extra mile, love your neighbor as yourself, the truth will set you free. You get the point. Jesus said all of these things first. And there's one that I want to unpack just a little bit today. It may sound familiar to some of you because maybe you remember Uncle Ben saying it to Peter Parker, a.k.a. Spider-Man. And that wise saying is, with great power comes great responsibility. And of course, Uncle Ben didn't coin that phrase. He was quoting the French writer Voltaire. But Voltaire wasn't even the first to say something like that, because guess what? Jesus said it first. Maybe not in those exact words, but in Luke 12:48, Jesus does say, from everyone who has been given much, much will be required. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, even more will be expected. With his actions and with these words, Jesus was setting for us the example of servant leadership. If you've been given the opportunity to lead, if you've been given any sort of power to wield, then there is a certain level of responsibility attached. And this is not a new thing for us. It wasn't even new back in Jesus' time. In fact, if you go all the way to the beginning of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, you will see that humans were placed in the garden with the expectation that they would take care of what God had created. To this day, we still have a responsibility to care for the world God created from an ecological standpoint, from an economical standpoint, from a societal standpoint. And that's why we have to remind ourselves of this often, to hear these words and repeat these words of Christ often, that those of us who are privileged with power or with leadership, we are also expected to take great care of all those we lead. And of course, Jesus himself was the perfect example of this. Not only did he lead a movement that is still continuing to shape and transform the world today, but he did so with humility and compassion and a willingness to sacrifice, ultimately making the greatest sacrifice by giving himself up on the cross. And while Christ does not physically walk the earth in the year 2025, we now bear the responsibility to live out that compassion and that humility and that selfless type of service through our leadership. In the words of Saint Teresa of Avila, Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks compassion on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. So as each of you answer the call to lead in this extraordinary way, may you always remember the responsibility that you bear to lead with humility, compassion, and sacrifice. Each and every person here has been entrusted with much. So let's please remember that as we lead, much love, much care, and much servanthood is expected. Please pray with me. If you would stand, if you are able, we will pray and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Gracious God, we praise you and thank you for the call you have placed on all the lives here. We also thank you for the many more lives that each person here represents. Create in each of us a desire to be your hands and your feet in this world. Let our eyes look upon our colleagues and constituents with compassion that flows from your heart. By your grace, help us to lay aside any selfish desires and ambitions and instead pursue truth and justice with selfless humility. Thank you for the awesome privilege to lead others even as we look to you to lead us. In Christ's holy name we pray. Amen. If you will join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay right there. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you can join our chaplain of the day in the South Attic room for some photos. Pastor Jerry, you're doing a good job with your sister. She's a work in progress, there's no doubt about that, but thank you for your words today. It was meaningful and make an impact on all of us here. Thank you, and come back again. Our doctor of the day is brought to us by Chairman Josh Bonner of the 73rd House District. Dr. Chris Walsh is downstairs in the aid station. Dr. Chris Walsh. Thank you, Dr. Walsh, for being here and serving us today. I'll remind you all, you may go by and meet Jerry Aiken, our pastor of the day, Carmen's brother, Representative Rice's brother, in the South Attic room, so hope you'll go by and say hello. I'm trying to be respectful. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Tarvin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read
Chairman has an important report to give us, so give him your attention, please. Go ahead, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journals from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And if you would, I've got a couple of little tidbits I want to share if you'll indulge me.
I guess we will.
I want to brag on this group and tell you, first of all, I'm very much a small government type person who doesn't want government interfering in my life, but I want you to know that this is a very good, well-run state and a very good body. We've ranked 45th to 48th, 49th in cost per capita of state government for years. And while that may be like me bragging about having the most hair at a bald-headed man's contest, we're very well-run state and appreciate you very much. And I appreciate the speakers giving me the opportunity to do this every day. And this week I wanted to talk about we're a product of the choices we make in life. And I wish we'd think about teaching your grandchildren and children and nieces and nephews that, because I believe in it very strongly. And sometimes we need to look at our direction where we're going and make sure we're going in the direction we. In other words, if you like the sun at your face, you need to head toward the sun. And every day you need to make sure you're going in that direction. And an example is at the North Pole, I was studying some geometry. I try to do those things to keep what little bit of brain I've got working. And the question was, and I got it right, believe it or not, if you were at the North Pole and you walked 1 mile south, and then you chose to walk directly west for 6 miles, how far away from the North Pole would you be? And the answer is 1 mile. And if you walked 6.28 miles, a little 6.25 miles, you'd be exactly back where you started. So that is a fact. And so you need to make sure the area you're in every day, where you need to be headed, and make sure you're in that right direction. And as I told you, we have a very well-run state. And then we'll go from the North Pole to the Serengeti, and I'll end with this. Every morning, antelope wakes up and knows they got to be faster than the fastest lion. And the lions wake up and know they got to be faster than the slowest gazelle or antelope. So no matter what you do, get up every morning and hit the ground running for the great state of Georgia. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have been a lion for this body, and we appreciate your input and your service here. And as you head into the sun, we hope my words of wisdom for you is that you'll always wear a cap to protect that head. So, Chairman Tarver, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Station of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 34 by Representative Washburn, the 144th bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 43 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding professions and businesses.
Regulated industries.
House Bill 35 by Representative Ridley of the 22nd, Powell of the 33rd, Horner of the 3rd, Tarver of the 2nd, Ridley the 6th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 1518.5 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the appointment of substitute for absent or disqualified district attorneys.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 36 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, Scoggins the 14th, Kelly the 16th, Oliver the 84th, Powell the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 29 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to guardian and ward.
Judiciary.
House Bill 37 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, Ballard of the 147th, and Hilton of the 48th. Bill be titled an act to amend Subpart 2 of Part 6 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to conditions of employment in elementary and secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 38 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Reeves of the 99th, Jones of the 47th, Hilton of the 48th, and Silcox of the 53rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Subpart 2A of Part 3 of Article 7 of Chapter 3 of the Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to needs-based financial aid program.
Higher education.
House Bill 39 by Representative Anderson of the 10th and Irwin of the 32nd. Bill be titled an act to authorize the assessment, collection, and distribution of a technology fee by the Magistrate Court of Habersham County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 40 by Representative Griffin of the 149th, Draper of the 90th, Mitchell of the 88th, Miles of the 126th, and Park of the 107th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to elections and primaries generally.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 41 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, and Schofield of the 63rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 1613.2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to conditional discharge for possession of controlled substances.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 42 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, and Schofield of the 63rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 5 of Article 6 of Chapter 2, Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to program weights and funding requirements on the quality basic education.
Education.
House Bill 43 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Taylor of the 92nd, and Scott of the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3, Chapter 5 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions of wells and drinking water.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 44 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, and Schofield of the 63rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 10 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to warehousemen.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 45 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 4, Chapter 12 of Title 15 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to grand juries.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 46 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Scott of the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2A of Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to the Department of Public Health.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 47 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 5 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to program weights and funding requirements under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 48 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, and Schofield of the 63rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 2, Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 49 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 45 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding public officers and employees.
Judiciary,
House Bill 50 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Cummings the 39th, Jackson the 165th, Bernal the 77th, Jones the 60th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 4286 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to license plates promoting or supporting certain agencies.
Motor Vehicles,
House Bill 51 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Green of the 154th, Osteen of the 169th, and Ford of the 170th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority.
Natural Resources and Environment,
House Bill 52 by Representative Rice of the 139th, Osteen of the 169th, Reeves of the 99th, Cannon of the 172nd, and Bonner of the 73rd. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 48.5, 4080 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to homestead exemptions.
Ways and Means,
House Bill 53 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd, Cannon of the 172nd, Clark of the 100th, Ballard of the 147th, Prince of the 132nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 2, Chapter 4, Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia veteran cemeteries.
Defense and Veterans Affairs,
House Bill 54 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Jones of the 47th, Powell of the 33rd, Barrett of the 24th, Mathiak of the 82nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Titles 16, 31, and 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to crimes and offenses.
Health,
House Bill 55 by Representative Ford of the 170th, Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Abstration of the 104th, Gunner of the 8th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 1562 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the number of judges in superior courts.
Judiciary,
House Bill 56 by Representative Petrie of the 166th, Seabowl of the 34th, Hitchens of the 161st, Saints of the 180th, Lumsden of the 12th. Bill being titled an act to amend Subpart 7 of Part 3 of Article 7 of Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to grants to children and law enforcement officers.
Higher Education,
House Bill 57 by Representative Cameron of the 1st, Jones of the 47th, Camp of the 135th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Hagan of the 156th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 16.6.22 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to incest.
Judiciary Non-Civil,
House Bill 58 by Representative Richardson of the 125th, Leverett of the 123rd, Thomas of the 21st, Clifton of the 131st, and Crow of the 118th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 6 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to aviation.
Technology and Infrastructure Innovation,
That completes first readers.
second reading of bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
House Bill 1 by Representative Owl of the 50th, the bill relating to carrying and possession of firearms. House Bill 2 by Representative Owl of the 50th, the bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 3 by Representative Owl of the 50th, the bill relating to Brady Law regulations. House Bill 4 by Representative Owl of the 50th, the bill relating to Brady Law regulations. House Bill 5 by Representative Campbell of the 171st, a bill to amend an act relating to the Board of Education Commissioners for Decatur County. House Bill 6 by Representative Campbell of the 171st, a bill to amend an act providing for a Board of Commissioners of Mitchell County. House Bill 7 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, a bill relating to imposition rate computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes. House Bill 8 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, a bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 9 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Drenner of the 85th, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Jackson of the 68th, a bill relating to other safety inspections and regulations. House Bill 10 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, and Jackson of the 68th, a bill relating to the prohibition of disclosure of arrest booking photographs. House Bill 11 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Jackson of the 68th, a bill relating to regulation and construction of hospitals and other healthcare facilities. House Bill 12 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, Irwin of the 32nd, Leverett of the 123rd, Corbett of the 174th, Kelly of the 16th, and others, a bill relating to equalization grants, annual circulations, and allocation. House Bill 13 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, a bill to provide compensation for the Eccles County Board of Education. House Bill 14 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th, Tarman of the 2nd, Crawford of the 89th, and Fleming of the 114th, a bill relating to other state symbols. House Bill 15 by Representative Williamson of the 112th, Williams of the 148th, Douglas of the 78th, Dickey of the 134th, Ridley of the 6th, and others, a bill relating to banking and finance. House Bill 16 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, McLean of the 109th, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Glaze of the 67th, a bill relating to labor and industrial relations. House Bill 17 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Mitchell of the 88th, Jackson of the 68th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding health. House Bill 18 by Representative Saines of the 180th, Petrie of the 166th, Richardson of the 125th, Jaspers of the 11th, Gullett of the 19th, a bill relating to Dual Enrollment Act purpose, dual credit courses, eligibility for participation, eligibility for payment. House Bill 19 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to general provisions related to examination and treatment for mental illness. House Bill 20 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to health of students generally. House Bill 21 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to imposition rate computation exemption and credits from income tax. House Bill 22 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to labor, industrial relations, revenue, and taxation. House Bill 23 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 24 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to the powers and duties of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. House Bill 25 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to public assistance. House Bill 26 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to the powers and duties of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. House Bill 27 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to program weights and funding requirements under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 28 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Colquitt County ad valorem taxes for county purposes. House Bill 29 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Colquitt County School District ad valorem taxes. House Bill 30 by Representative Horner of the 3rd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Catoosa County School District ad valorem taxes. House Bill 31 by Representative Horner of the 3rd, a bill to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Catoosa County. House Bill 32 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, Ford of the 170th, a bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Probate Court of Cook County. House Bill 33 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd and Ford of the 170th, a bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Magistrate Court of Cook County. House Resolution Number 6 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, a resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide law for more than one seed capital fund. House Resolution 7 by Representative Campbell of the 171st, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. George C. Trulock Jr., dedicating a road in his memory. House Resolution 8 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Mitchell of the 88th, and Jackson of the 68th, a resolution supporting the creation of a state work group to increase chronic disease information and screenings in communities of color. House Resolution 9 by Representative Moore of the 91st, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to provide for that revenue derived from the regulation of safe drinking water and toxic enforcement may be dedicated for certain purposes and not deposited into the general fund. House Resolution 10 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Kendrick of the 95th, Taylor of the 92nd, Bennett of the 94th, and Mitchell of the 88th. Resolution urging the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority to reaffirm its commitment to an extension of the rail system along the east side of Interstate 20 in South DeKalb County. House Resolution 11 by Representative Davis of the 87th, a resolution urging the Georgia Environmental Protection Division, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the DeKalb County government to resolve sewage pollution and spills. House Resolution 12 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Cannon of the 58th, a resolution designating the month of April as Community Activist Month. House Resolution 13 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Cannon of the 58th, a resolution recognizing April 8, 2025 as Community Activist Day. Through second readers.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, members, if you will, I'll ask you to please take your seats. We have several morning orders. I want to ask you to be respectful of your colleague in the well. I thought it was a snake or a bird in there or something. Good morning. Thank you, members. Representative Lim, you're recognized for a morning order. Give the member your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Working with the Department of Natural Resources and Senator Halpern across the hall, we conceived the idea of creating an art contest to showcase our state parks and historic sites. If you didn't know, we have 45 state parks and 17 historic sites.
Representative, if you'll suspend just for a moment, you're right there on how many state parks we have. Members, this is important. Cease your conversations or take them to that anteroom. It's empty. We're going to recognize some Georgians who are important to us. Continue, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I was saying, we have 45 state parks and 17 historic sites. I get good use of my parking pass, and a couple years ago was looking at some works progress posters and thinking we should have that for Georgia, and why not invite the talented youth of our state to render them. Fast forward to today, and we received well over 100 submissions across the state for our 2024 edition of the new Georgia State Parks and Historic Sites Art Contest. We are proud to welcome our top 15 here today. If they're here, I ask them to rise. They may be in the Senate or downstairs. The top 3 are actually featured right now downstairs as part of Keeping Georgia Wild Day. I also thank the organizers of that, and later on this afternoon around 1 to 2:30 we'll have all the top artwork featured in the South Wing. I will close by saying there's no shortage of beautiful parks and historic sites in our state. There's no shortage of artistic talent among youth in Georgia, and I'm very happy we could bring both together. Thank you again to DNR, Senator Halpern, and we congratulate the winners and all the participants once again, and I yield the well.
If you're here and you're one of those folks in the gallery, would you stand? They may have been hijacked by the Senate. Congratulations to you, and thank Representative Lim for that recognition to them. And remember, Georgia Wild Day downstairs, DNR is down there, so visit with our folks from DNR, and many of the officers are down there, and certainly some good information we all need to be aware of. Leader Illustration, Representative Donna Tucci, and Representative Martinez. Mr. Leader, I mean, you're already getting close to your limit here when you've been to the well twice. Oh, no, you're not doing it. Okay, as long as Representative Donna Tucci's up there. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, colleagues. We're so excited today to have Hebron Christian Volleyball, along with their athletic director, Taylor Davis. They're sitting up on the left side of the gallery. They are the state champions. If you would please stand, the team, and if you would all recognize and stand for them. Thank you so much, and congratulations. If you see the girls today, be sure to say hi to them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ladies yielded well. Thank you, members. Congratulations. That's pretty special. State champions. You'll be that for the rest of your lives. So good stuff. Congratulations. Thanks for being here with us as well. Chairman Dickey. You have a morning order, Mr. Chairman? Chairman Dickey, you have a morning order? Yes, sir. Yeah, you're in the house this morning. Just want to make sure you know where you are.
I thank you. I was trying to get my colleague Beth Camp. We have the Upson County Thomaston Youth Leadership Group in the gallery, and the Chamber of Commerce, Upson County Chamber of Commerce, and they're over there. Y'all want to stand? Thank y'all very much. Great group of young people in their leadership. And Madison Ruttinger leading that with the chamber.
Thanks, Chairman Dickey and Chair Lady Camp. Welcome. We're glad y'all are here. Congratulations. Hey, that's first class. Thanks for recognizing them and having them here. Appreciate y'all being in the people's house. I think that completes our morning orders. We do have an invite resolution this morning I think you'll be interested in. So if you'll get, and I'll invite Chairman Marcus Wiedauer and friends to come up. Mr. Clerk. Chairman Wiedauer. Mr. Clerk, would you read the resolution?
House Resolution 22 by Representative Wiedauer of the 121st, Burns the 159, Jones the 47th, Hughley of the 141st, Hatchett of the 155th, and others, a resolution commending the Atlanta Football Host Committee for hosting the 2025 College Football Playoff National Championship and for other purposes.
Colleagues, good morning. Slightly bittersweet day for me as somebody who bleeds red and black to be bringing this trophy here to this wonderful chamber. But I can promise you it's not lost on me what this trophy means for our state and what it has done across the state as this game will be played Monday night in Mercedes-Benz. CFP will have an economic impact that will be far-reaching to every county in this state. CFP Foundation has poured money into education in every county in our state. We'll bring in estimated over $75 million for the state of Georgia, and as much as I would love to see the Dogs, okay, the two teams being from out of state actually will have a greater economic impact on our state with the folks that will travel to see this game on Monday night. I have to thank Arthur Blank and his vision of Mercedes and the entire facility, what they built down there to attract these types of events. You guys know I'm a big proponent for it. But first and foremost, Dan Corso, who Atlanta Sports Council, the work that they do to attract these events that are coming up, like FIFA World Cup and a host of other events. But this right now, we get to celebrate the CFP. If anybody's going to be able to go to the game, it's going to be I'm sure it'll be epic in a great facility. Also with us today, Tim Zawalski with the Atlanta Falcons. He has been instrumental also in negotiating and attracting these businesses. They've been a great partner for us, making incredible economic impacts across the state of Georgia. Thank you guys for your efforts and everything you do, and thank you for being with us today.
Chairman Wiedauer, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, thank you for this opportunity. This is a special day. The state of Georgia is used to winning. The state of Georgia is number one in a lot of things. The state of Georgia is also now recognized as the first state in the country to be a two-time host of the College Football Playoff National Championship. So congratulations to all of you. And as Mr. Chairman said, Tim and I are in the business of recruiting these big sporting events to our state. And we've got a lot of great things coming. Just days away from the College Football Playoff National Championship, the World Cup in 2026, another Super Bowl in 2028, and another Men's Final Four in 2031. And we've got more in the pipeline. There's a reason why these events keep coming back to the state of Georgia, and that's because of the complete engagement and support that this body gives to the effort to bring them and organize them here. So thank you on behalf of all of us involved in this event. Thank you on behalf of partners in the community for what you do and for your support in helping us do what we do. Thank you again.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Speaker, thank you for your support continuously. Chairman, sir, thank you. On behalf of Arthur Blank and Arthur Blank Sports and Entertainment, as Dan said, we can't bring the world's greatest events to Georgia and to Atlanta without your help, and you've been there, and we will need you to continue to be there as we have many great events, Final Four 2031, Super Bowl 2028, and obviously all roads right now lead to Georgia and lead to Atlanta for Ohio State and Notre Dame. So if you are at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this Monday, we will be ready. It is the #1 place for fan experience, regardless of what goes through there, as rated both by the NFL, Major League Soccer, and others. So the piece I want you to know, our motto is welcome home. We're going to welcome those folks to the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you all for your support.
Let's get a picture.
Yep.
Let's get a picture. Let me- Dan and Tim, thank you. Thank you to the Atlanta Sports Council. Tim, to your boss, pretty special guy. To the members of this House, thank you for always being supportive of ensuring that we maintain Georgia's #1 status in whatever endeavor that is, not just in athletics, but in economic development and quality of life. And I want to take one step further. Thanks for what you do. If you'll take a message back. I don't know of any other Georgian that's been more impactful than Arthur Blank when it comes to health care and his contributions to health care in our state, and certainly his continued support in health care, but especially mental health. So thank him for us. We appreciate him and wish him the very best. And we also know Mercedes is a pretty cool dome, too. We enjoy being there quite often. Let's give them another round of applause. What a beautiful trophy. I hope it's in Athens again real soon, or maybe right across the street at Georgia Tech. That'd be pretty cool, too. So either one works. Thank y'all, members. Thank you, Chairman Wiedauer, as well. Thanks, Charlie. Good work. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Recognizing and commending the Georgia Cancer Control Consortium as part of the Georgia Department of Public Health, HPV, Cancer-Free Georgia, Cancer Pathways, the Susan Jolly Awareness Program for their exceptional contribution to cervical cancer education and awareness in Georgia. Recognizing January 21st, 2025 as Addiction Recovery Awareness Day, and recognizing and commending Captain Matthew T. Brown upon his retirement. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none and the resolutions are adopted. We have some announcements now. I'm not going to put a time limit on y'all, but I'm going to ask you to be respectful of those that come right after you. And there's some other business of the day to be taken care of outside of this chamber. So let's recognize Representative Anissa Jones. Representative Jones. Anissa. Representative Jones. You're recognized for an afternoon order. And friends, yes, it's always good to have friends.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. If I could get all members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated to come and stand with me at this time. As a proud 33-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I stand with great pride with my sorority sisters in celebrating our 117th Founders Day today, January 15, 2025. Our organization continues to leave an indelible mark on society through its unwavering commitment to service, education, and advocacy. Founded in 1908 at Howard University by a group of visionary women, Alpha Kappa Alpha remains the first Greek letter sorority established by African American women and has grown into a global force for positive change. Over the past 117 years, Alpha Kappa Alpha has remained steadfast in its mission to uplift communities, particularly through expansive programs that address critical issues such as health disparities, economic empowerment, education, and social justice. Through initiatives focused on improving access to health care, raising awareness about mental health, combating chronic diseases like heart disease and cancer, and providing scholarships to empower the next generation of leaders. Alpha Kappa Alpha has built a legacy of transformation. In addition, the sorority's strong advocacy for educational equity has helped countless students, especially from underserved communities, pursue higher education through mentorship and financial support. Again, let's rally together to thank Alpha Kappa Alpha for its historic, monumental achievements over 117 years. I yield the well.
Congratulations, a great celebration. Thank you. Representatives Berry, Holly, and Bell, you gentlemen. Representative Bryce Berry, you gonna take care of this group? Absolutely, we're glad to see you up, and those friends and some other friends joining you. Representative Berry is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We rise today to honor one of Georgia's favorite sons, a prolific preacher of the social gospel, a heroic humanitarian, and champion of all people, and one that we are all particularly proud of, a Morehouse man. Yep. We rise today to honor the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on what would have been his 96th birthday. There's no need to retell the story of Dr. King. We know his story. But what is even more pertinent is to know his message. His dream extended beyond just racial harmony, but also to economic opportunity and empowerment, social mobility, and what he called that more beloved community, where nonviolence was not only practiced, but was the mantra of the land. We honor the legacy left and carried out by his children, Martin Luther King III and Dr. Bernice King, initiatives that were started by his loving wife, Coretta. So as we rise today to honor this man's great but short life, and as we start the new session, let us be committed to work together and take up the challenge of Dr. King to build that beloved community for the people of this state. So will you join me in a moment of silence to remember the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King, thank you for your service, and thank you for your teaching. Morehouse will forever be proud of you and honor you. May we be worthy of his sacrifice and steadfast in carrying forward his mission. Thank you, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative. That's a pretty cool photo. I've never seen that one. Appreciate y'all finding that one. That's a nice photo. I appreciate y'all doing that, and thanks for honoring Dr. King. Representative Carter. Boy, this is a good one. It is afternoon. In the morning, though. We could wait about 6 minutes and you'd be in the afternoon.
No.
If you'd rather me do that, give it a shot.
Good morning. Happy New Year. And those of you who have been with us a while, you absolutely know why I'm here. So on the first Friday in February, we will be asking you all to wear red because that is the American Heart Association Advocacy Day to bring awareness to heart disease with women. As we continue to say, and I hope one day that we won't have to say this, that a heart disease is the #1 cause of death in women and in black women in particular. So I hope you all will join me on the first first Thursday for the for the chamber, and the first Friday we'll have an event here at the Capitol. Thank you. I yield the well.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, y'all probably want to listen to this one. One of the most important reasons we're here. Chairman of Appropriations, Chairman Matt Hatchett, has an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Budget. That's why we're here. Yay. Since tomorrow is kind of crazy with the state of state, just want to go ahead and let everybody know that the budget books will be available in Suite 412 in the CLOB after the state of state tomorrow. You get one book per member, and somebody, either you or somebody in your office, has to sign for that for you. Also, the second edition of the 25 or 2025-2026 fact book that if you were here last year or 2 years ago, you found out about it. And it has all the facts you need to know about our state, and it's very helpful with the many references you need to make to different things, especially when you go and you talk to groups in your community. So you can pick that up. It will be ready tomorrow also. Last thing, budget hearings, joint House and Senate budget hearings will be next week. It will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Members, we hope you are there. Even if you are not a member of Appropriations, you learn a lot at these hearings. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
A man of great wisdom and patience. So I encourage you to heed the chairman's suggestions. If you, doing your job here, you need to know how the process works. So make sure you join him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Parsons, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Speaker. When a gentleman was stepping from the well and you said a gentleman with great wisdom and patience, I thought you were introducing me, but it was actually the Appropriations Chairman leaving.
Well, I got a couple of words for you, but I'm not. Well,
I wanted to come up and just say a few words to acknowledge the great work, heroism, in my opinion, of our utility workers during these storms that we had, just not last week, but the snowstorm and snow break, or ice break as we call it. But those huge tornadoes, especially Helene, that we had coming through back in 2024. Now, to me, these people are heroes. We have a lot of other heroes, and I'm not taking anything away from them. I mean, in particular, Helene, but all of these, even the snow and the ice break last week. You know, you have the people like the Salvation Army, the National Guard, law enforcement, EMTs, churches, the faith community, neighbors, strangers, just so many people that have stepped up voluntarily to help their neighbors. But I do want to acknowledge the work that Georgia Power, the EMCs, the municipal providers have done in response to these emergencies. It's been overwhelming, in particular regarding Helene. In Helene, Georgia Power had over 1.5 million customers that they had to attend to get power back. They had over 8,300 broken poles, 20,700 spans between poles that they had to replace. They had 3,200 trees down that they had to address. They had 20,000 personnel that were involved in the whole thing, and 35 assisting partners. For the EMCs, they had over 17 and a half miles of lines that were damaged down. They had 12,500 poles they had to replace or repair, and $535 million in total damages. And of course, our municipal providers had to address the same issues, and what they had to address was just astronomical and enormous. I do want to say this while I'm up here, and I know we have things to do, but my appreciation for, and in particular, I mean, it was all the people that work for those companies, and I certainly don't want to not acknowledge the planning that these EMCs, the local municipal providers, and Georgia Power has to put into it. A lot of planning before these things ever happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to respond the way they do. But I do want to say that, you know, my appreciation for the, especially these guys who have to go out and do the work. I mean, they all do the work, but the work out in the elements, in the snow, the ice, and or during the even while these winds and hurricanes are coming through in the aftermath of those. I have of course, I was a telephone man with Chesapeake and Potomac Telephone Company, so I've worked the lines and I've worked some ice cuts myself. But when I was 10, my mother was a single mother, and she was having a hard time between jobs. We lived in a big old apartment building. Actually, it was a big old huge Victorian house, been subdivided down into apartments. And there was a little family, a young family that lived in one of the apartments below us. And one of the guy there, the father, who was in his 20s still, I believe, he was a lineman for Appalachian Power. And he would go, he loved to fish, and he fished, I swear, anytime he got a chance to, and he would bring catfish up to us. And our food for a good while subsisted a lot on catfish that lineman would bring to us. Just a great guy. And I was 10 years old, and then one day I got the news that he had, in some kind of a terrible accident on a pole, something had happened, and it literally blew off one of his legs. And this man who'd been a provider for his family and basically a provider for us to a large degree, you know, he couldn't even get out and get around, much less go to work. And that was because of the nature of the work that he did. And that's the nature of the work these guys do every day when they're out there, and we're anticipating when we're going to get our power back, and I'm one of them. I mean, sometimes I've had to wait a few days myself, and I keep wondering, why is it taking so long? I know intellectually why it is, but you're still wondering, why is it taking so long to get it back up? But these people are out there doing really hard work, outside in the elements, working so hard on these dangerous, very dangerous jobs. While at the same time, there are people with those companies and the EMCs working other places within the company very hard too. But in particular, I think about those linemen and the people out there working on the poles and in the bucket trucks. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to come down and acknowledge, I hope I've adequately acknowledged our thanks to them and appreciation for all that they do for all of us in the state of Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, you did a good job there, Mr. Chairman. And you are a man of wisdom and patience as well. I'll give you that credit. Certainly, as we all do in this chamber, we appreciate when folks risk their safety for our well-being, and certainly the linemen and linewomen in this state on a daily basis risk their safety to provide electrical service for the utilities that serve us all well. So, well stated, and we're very proud of them and appreciative of their service. Thanks to them all. Representative Chaz Cannon, Representative Trey Rhodes, y'all got something to talk to us about? I hope you do. You're both recognized, at least one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want to again recognize the Department of Natural Resources and particularly the Wildlife Division, Law Enforcement Division, State Parks Division, the guys and gals that are down at the South Steps today, recognize them for their efforts, and all the other organizations and the partners that help preserve our wildlife in our state. Last thing I'll mention, on your desk is a sign-up form for the Legislative Sportsman's Caucus. No dues, but please fill it out, give it to me or co-chair Matt Dubnik. Appreciate your participation in that. Just hand it to me or find Matt once you fill it out.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to add, if you don't mind, and thank Commissioner Rabin for what he does and what our department does over there for our natural resources. If you don't know, 1.6 billion is the economic impact that hunting and fishing and tourism brings to our great state, and I just want to thank them for all they do to preserve those natural resources so our kids, our grandkids, and future generations can enjoy what we do now in the state of Georgia. Thank you.
thanks for what y'all do on game fishing parks. It's important to us, and certainly the opportunity to hunt and fish, but also to enjoy our state parks. Boy, we're a lucky bunch of folks in this state to have the great resources we have in the out of doors to enjoy. And Commissioner Rayburn and his team do a great job there. So we're going on to announcements. That completes our afternoon orders in the morning. So let me give you a heads up. We're going to call on Chairman Corbett first, but next will be Representative Alexander, Representative Bazemore, Representative Parrish, Chairman Williamson, and Chair Camp will be in order, and I'll call y'all each, but be prepared to come up. Chairman Corbett is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I told y'all yesterday the Rural Caucus will be meeting today at 12 o'clock. We have a new location. That's what I want to tell you about today. Over between the CLOB and the parking deck, if you'll walk down to Trinity, make a right, first door's on your right. The easiest way to get there. 12 o'clock today. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Throw some breadcrumbs out and we'll find it, and I bet you that's the case. Representative Alexander is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And
there will be a women caucus meeting at 11:30, room 216 of the Capitol. Thank you.
Women's Caucus, 11:30, 216 in the Capitol. Representative Bazemore is recognized for an announcement. Representative Parrish, you're on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a reminder to the members of the City of South Fulton delegation. There will be a meeting today virtually, so it will be on Zoom at 12:30. If you have not received the information, please notify me and I will forward it to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Parrish, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the Georgia Chamber, yesterday I came in and took off my coat and put it back on the hanger on the coat rack back there. Yesterday when I went back to get it, it wasn't there, so I'm sure somebody mistakenly took it. If you would, please return it because it was my coat. And in the 463 years that I've been down here, this has never happened. So thank you all. I appreciate you returning it. Thank you.
I'm sure it was an accident, but let's make sure it comes back on purpose. Chairman Williamson, you have an announcement. Let's do it. Let's see what you got.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a couple announcements for the good of the entire House of Representatives. If I could have your attention, please. This is for the entire House. I want to remind everybody that our friends of the Georgia Beverage Association, led by Kevin Perry, will be having a reception down at the Freight Depot this afternoon from 4:30 to 6. And our other good friends, Lee Limpke has his trade associations. He's got 16 different associations that will be meeting at the 191 Peachtree at the Commerce Club about the same time. I believe it's 5:30 to 7. So let's do our best, all members of the General Assembly, to try to go by and see all these constituents from all over Georgia that are doing business in the state of Georgia. And my final message would be for the House Majority Caucus. We'll be meeting immediately upon adjournment in the Appropriations Room, which is room 341, immediately upon adjournment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairlady Camp is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is for all of our incoming freshmen, and I believe we have a couple of sophomores who came in mid-year last year. We're going to be having a meeting today, and it's going to explain how to do local legislation. There's a lunch and learn. It's for freshmen and then for 2 invited sophomores. It's going to be in room 403 following our caucus meeting. Thank you.
Okay, members, I have one announcement, and we will conclude this day's work. Tomorrow is the State of the State. Mr. Leader, I think we'll come in at 10. You'll confirm that in a minute. So I would encourage you all to be here and hear what Governor Kemp has to talk to us about on the State of the State. Another reason I would encourage you to sit here, and be in your seats, because if you don't, a senator may sit in your seat, and that's not a good photo op. So be here. Let's pay attention. Let's be here. We'll get started on time, so we'll be ready before the Senate gets in here and the governor gets here. So look forward to having them here and as our invited guests for the State of the State. We have no birthdays. That may be a good thing. Mr. Leader, Majority Leader is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until Thursday, January 16th, 2025 at 10 a.m.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, January the 16th, 2025. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed will say no. Let's hang around for a while. I hadn't got anything to do until... Hey, the ayes have it. We're adjourned.